Welcome, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. It's a pleasure to see you here. This is the last Shabbat service of 5782. So we want to make it our best one and give it our best shot. Glad to see you here celebrating with us. And we're also celebrating with people over the internet. And it's my pleasure to be here with Cantor Garrett. I'm Rabbi Barry Silver. You are watching at the Carlisle, a beautiful senior center available to all. If you are getting up in years and you want a beautiful place to stay, please consider the Carlisle. If you have parents or others who are looking for a place, check this place out. I'm not sure about the rest of the facilities. It looks very nice to me, but I can tell you they have the best Shabbat services this side of the Mississippi. And we're also here on behalf of Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor, the only congregation in the world practicing cosmic Judaism that unites Judaism and science, and the only congregation in the nation that has the chutzpah to challenge Governor DeSantis and his anti-abortion nonsense we are challenging in court. So you're here in a very interesting congregation, a very interesting time, and we will be raising these and other issues. But for now, we're going to begin our celebration of Shabbat. And to do that, we have a beautiful song that compares Shabbat with the Sabbath bride. Why a bride? Because a bride is pure and beautiful and gets to start the life of the groom and her life anew through marriage, seeing each other through the eyes of love. And that's how we see the world anew, through the eyes of love. Lecha Dodi.
I have Helena. Okay. I can pull it up. Sorry. Lecha Dodi, ligrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabala. 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 Shemor b'dechor echad, Yishme'anu Alem echad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem tiferet v'tila lecha Dodi, ligrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha Dodi, ligrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabala. Ligrat Shabbat lechu necha, ki mikol habracha, mirosh vekedem nesucha, sof maaser v'amlach Shabbat tifrach la. Lecha Dodi, ligrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha Dodi, ligrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabala. Boi shalom ateret bala, ga b'simcha u'bzehela, tochumenu segula. Boi kala, lecha Dodi, ligrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabala. לך לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה.
Now, we started out with a beautiful song for Shabbat L'Chadodi. I have something to atone for. Even before the Day of Atonement, I skipped over Havenu Shalom Aleichem, which is why I threw our cantor off somewhat. And so I'm going to make amends and make up and repent for my sin. I left out a song that has shalom in it. We can never get enough peace in this world. And therefore, I'm going to go back and I get a redo, much like we do on the high holidays. If we mess up, we get to go back again. So I'm going to go back again to the beginning. And now we're going to start out with Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Let us bring peace to one another.
Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem.
And now we are going to continue with the lighting of the candles. For this part of our Shabbat celebration, I call up Helen Daniels to lead us in the candle lighting service. You notice we have 2 candles. That symbolizes that the Jews should spread the light of love and the light of reason, science and religion together.
Third time's a charm.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushonu b'mitzvoto v'tzivonu lahaknech shel Shabbat. Good Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Helen, where were you born?
Where was I born?
Yes.
In Germany.
Germany, you got a beautiful Yiddish German accent for the candle lighting. It's a pleasure.
I'm a survivor.
You're a survivor.
Yes.
Well, thank you for carrying that light all these years and sharing it with us here at L'Dor Va-Dor. Yes, we appreciate it very much. You've been through a lot and you still carry the light of love with you. We're going to now read responsively. Actually, no, we're not reading responsibly. I'll read this part. On Shabbat, the light within everyone and everything is revealed. We need only the will to see it. In Jewish tradition, lighting candles at sundown on Friday is the last act of the work week, the little spark that carries us into the weekend. While you will find no verse in the Torah instructing you to light 2 candles at dusk, the rabbinic sages over the centuries linked the practice to the concept of Shamol, Shabbat, and Zachor Shabbat, the commandments to keep and remember Shabbat. We thus light these Shabbat candles for all of us to enjoy. In the Torah, it has the 10 commandments, where it mentions keeping the Sabbath with 2 different reasons. It's repeated twice in Exodus and Deuteronomy. In Exodus, it talks about Shamor, keep the Sabbath, and in Deuteronomy says Zachor, remember the Sabbath. So I figured, how could God make a mistake? He couldn't remember from Exodus to Deuteronomy what the reason was? Of course, God never makes mistakes. There's 2 reasons. Shamor v'Zachor, to keep and to remember. I would add a 3rd reason, not just observe the Sabbath and remember the Sabbath, but be active Jews, and not just observant, but active, and put the Sabbath into practice during the week. But that's why we have the 2 candles, another reason that's been given by our ancestors. We now are going to continue with the Kiddush For this, we call up Bert Scholl to lead us in the Kiddush, and also to share any other comments that you would like to impart upon our congregation. Take it away. It's all yours.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen.
Amen.
Anything you want to share with the congregation?
As we approach the new year 5783, we hope that it will be a good year for all of us, Lashana Tova, and may you be inscribed in the book of life, and may it be a year of good health and contentment, and above all, peace for everybody, which the world so sorely needs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Remember, it's 5783, so don't write 5782 on your checks anymore, okay? Don't make that mistake. All right, the blessing. Are you going to do the Kiddush for us?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Amen.
We're going to start a series of prayers. In Cosmic Judaism, we interpret things a little bit differently. We do not submit prayers to a supernatural being. Rather, we consider the super to be natural and the natural to be super. And therefore, what we do in prayer is we try to formulate in our mind the highest ideal of what we can achieve as individuals. And as we're here as a group, as a congregation with Jews all over the world celebrating Shabbat, we try to formulate in our mind what the world could be like if we lived up to the prophetic ideals. We formulate that in our mind, we meditate on it, and then in the week to come, we try to implement that into being. So all these meditations that we have, these prayers that we have, are really just a way of trying to get a glimpse into what we in the world could be, so that we can try to effectuate it during the week. We're going to start out this part of the Shabbat celebration with Roll into Dark.
Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Join me. Roll into dark, roll into night, night becomes day, day turns to night. B'rei yom v'layla, kol elo mipnei choshech, kol elo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
Shabbat, like our other holidays, helps us to notice the passing of time and make decisions around how we want to allocate that precious resource.
The Jewish calendar prioritizes balance, and Shabbat provides a weekly space to come together and notice a contrast between holy and everyday regular time.
We create nothing new and instead appreciate what exists. On this day, on Shabbat, we do celebrate time. It is our most precious commodity. Everything else in life we have pales in comparison to the commodity of time. It's limited, it's finite, and it's usually wasted. So we gather here today to try to make good use of our time and to remember, you never want to be stranded on someday I'll. Someday I'll live up to my potential. Someday I'll be the type of person that my parents hoped and dreamed I could be. Someday I'll get involved with good causes. Someday I'll share with my friends and family how I really appreciate them and how I love them. Rosh Hashanah teaches us that someday might never occur. Today is the day. Today is the day of judgment. Today is the day when we commit ourselves to making good use of our time. And one way that we make good use of our time is to celebrate the beauty and the grandeur of nature and of this wonderful world that we have in this awesome country that we live in. We sing the praise of all creation with the Baruch Hu. As I mentioned, you can stand if you'd like. If it's difficult for you, stay seated. We want you to be comfortable. Traditionally, we stand for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
The genius of our ancestors was to see the unity where others saw diversity, to see all human beings as one family, and to see all living things as part of one planet. We celebrate this unity and seek to recapture the unity among all people with the singing of the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Listen, O Israel, to the mighty voice within. Hear the echo of your famous song. Celebrate life and the miracle that we share. Feel the deep power, know our faith is one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Siéntanse, por favor. Please be seated. Teshvu b'vakasha. Next. Yes, we're almost there. Yes, I have to give a little intro. And we started out praising creation. Then we continued indicating that our ancestors saw the unity behind all creation, behind a different face and a different place and a different race. They saw one mishpacha, one family. And then they also had this realization that we should love one another, and not just if they look like us or talk like us or think like us. We should love one another and love all living things. So when you read the V'ahavta, actually it's going to be sung for us. If you want to not just go through the motions, but go through the emotions and make it real, you have to try to love one another. It's very easy to love people who say nice things about us. It's very easy to love people who are doing things that are helpful to us. And it's also very easy to love people who agree with us. We're commanded not to do what's easy, but to do what's right. And therefore, we're commanded to try to love people, even if they're somewhat annoying at times. We're commanded to love people, even if they do and say things that we find irritating. We're commanded to love people even if they, oh no, they have a different concept of God than we do. Oh my gosh, how horrible. We're commanded, if you can believe this, our ancestors were eternal optimists. We're commanded to love people even if they are of a different political party, even if they practice a different religion. That's what we're commanded to do. And that's what we think about when we hear sung for us the V'ahavta, you shall love.
You may join me. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam ba'am v'shivtecha b'vetecha uv'lektecha b'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam lo al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha uv'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'hisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
We continue reading responsively. We got some words on the screen. If you'd like to join us, you can read the part in the bold writing, and if you'd like, you can read boldly. Shabbat, like our other holidays, helps us to notice the passing of time and make decisions around. Oops, I'm reading the wrong part. Sorry about that. Let me go back here. Let us make this new Shabbat better than those before.
We seek to touch those we love.
We seek freedom to meditate, to listen to our inward selves.
We open our eyes to the hidden beauties and the infinite possibilities in the world.
We break open the gates of the reservoirs of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others.
We reach toward one holy and perfect moment of Shabbat.
Next, we have Michamocha. It's a rhetorical question. Who is like God? If we define God not in an anthropomorphic way, but if we define God as that creative power that is in all, that's above all, and that unites all, then we are all like God, because that power is within all of us. And so I'm going to ask you all to listen to the Mi Chamocha.
Kamocha be'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Who is like you? Who is like you? Like you, Adonai, who is like you, who is like you, who is like you, Adonai, Malikutecha, Ra'uvenecha, Bokei ayam livnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'elianu, anu v'yameru, Adonai lo le'olam va'ed. Who is like you? Adonai, who is like you, who is like you, who is like you.
I'm going to give you a little preview of the high holidays this year at L'Dor Va-Dor. There's a very famous quote by Mark Twain about the Jewish people. You've heard it before, right? Yes, he mentions that the Jewish people has survived all of those empires who tried to oppress us, that were more powerful, that had great armies, and they made a lot of noise on the world stage, and then they disappeared, and the Jewish people outlived them all, outlasted them all with one hand tied behind their back, suffering persecution, emerging stronger and more vibrant than ever. And then at the end, he asks, everything is immortal. Everything is mortal except for the Jew. What is the secret of his immortality? And on the high holidays, I will attempt to share various responses or answers, propositions to that rhetorical question. And tonight, I'm going to ask you if you'd like to share some of your own ideas, so get ready. You might want to think about that right now. But this song that I've created to a very popular TV show back in the good old days when I had really good TV, not reality TV, fake TV about funny situations. And you'll recognize the melody probably, but you will not recognize the words because nobody's heard them before, because I think this is the first time they've been sung publicly. Fortunately, I belong to a congregation with rather low standards, so they allow me to share my music with everybody else, and even sometimes my singing. We've never done this before together. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but that makes it a little more interesting. So Cantor Garrett will start out with the first verse, and then I'll come in after that.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of people known as Jews. They share a message to mankind of hope and good news, of hope and good news.
The rabbi and the cantor too will do their very best to create the mood for every Jew to enjoy this day of rest, to enjoy this day of rest.
No fancy frills or great excess, not a single luxury. On Shabbat we sing thankfulness and rejoice with family. Rejoice with family.
Jews pray to God who dwelt on high among the stars above. But today we don't personify the force that leads to love, the force that leads to love.
Truth and justice Jews do seek, as well as love and peace. And so we take one day a week for cruelty to cease, for cruelty to cease.
The neighbors started getting rough. The Jews they did accost. If not for the courage of the fearless Jews, our message would be lost. Our message would be lost.
Our vision cannot be restrained. They can't silence the Jews. Our tradition teaches right from wrong and gives us strength to choose.
We look within the human being to find the sacred place that connects us with everything across all time and space, across all time and space.
Harmony is our ideal. We're taught to love the stranger. Until this lofty goal is reached, the world will be in danger. The world will be in danger.
On this day we seek to end strife, to bring peace on Shabbat, and give thanks for the gift of life upon this pale blue dot, upon this pale blue dot.
So join us here each week, my friend. We're sure to get a smile as you return to shul again and share peace for a while.
To share peace for a while. Anybody know what show that was? Very good. Gilligan's Island. Gilligan's Island lives again here at the Carlisle and on Shabbat. Now we're going to continue with the V'Avot V'Imahot. This is a prayer that gives thanks to our parents. If anyone here has parents that they are grateful for, or grandparents or ancestors, you may please stand to join us in celebrating, rejoicing in our parents. Unless, like I say, that's difficult for you, you can stay seated and honor them right where you are. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Socha, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא אל עליון. גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות. מביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת תורה. אתה קדוש, ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated. Here at L'Dor Va-Dor, we honor not just the Avot. This prayer used to be the Avot, the fathers. We honor the fathers, the Imahot, and the mothers. In fact, here at L'Dor Va-Dor, we honor mothers so much that we believe they should have the choice of when they decide to become mothers. We decide that we believe that they should have that right to choose whether parenthood is right for them at this particular time. We don't believe in forced labor, if you'll pardon the expression. Forced labor is what they do in dictatorships and totalitarian regimes. Here we believe that labor, going into labor and bearing children, should be an act of love, not an act of coercion by the state. We're now going to continue with something that we wish government officials would do more often to their constituents. This is called listen.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our hearts. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all of your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way and listen, listen to our hearts. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear. So listen, listen to our heart. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod, Kvod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Listen,
Anybody know how to say listen in Hebrew? How would you say that in Hebrew? Anybody? Shema. Yes. Shema means to listen. Usually in Hebrew, to listen is translated lahakshiv, but Shema means to listen. We use it for the Shema, the watchword of the Jewish faith. To hear is usually something that is a passive activity. There's a noise. We don't try to pay attention to it, but we hear it. To listen takes a little more attention. We have to focus on something to listen. What the Shema is really telling us is that as Jews, we must listen, as this song says, so beautifully sung by our Cantor. We must listen to the call of the oppressed. We must listen to what is going on in the world and the people that need us. And also we must listen to that voice inside of us that we call the conscience and allow it to influence us for the better. Some people never listen to their conscience. Do you know why? They don't like to talk to strangers. We must not be like that. Let us spend a few moments in silent meditation and listen to our heart and listen to the part of us that's yearning to lift us up to a higher level with a few moments of silent meditation. We now read the names of those who are ailing, and we hope that they will receive a refuah shlema, complete restoration to good health. Wendy Frank, Harris Friedman, Laura Gallagher, Sherry Glass, Nadine Herbst, Ann Herman, Arthur Hoffman, Carol Kahn, Stacy Lichtman, Alan Leibowitz, Sean Levine, Howard Mandel, Dr. Sudhir Nair, Marilyn Paul, Bernard Rosen, Stanley Rosenwasser, Libby Rubin, Laura Santa Cruz, Harvey Shearer, Howard Thomas Shaw, Naomi Volan, Martin Winston, and Becky Wolf. Any other names that you'd like to share with us? Anybody? Thank you. Anybody else?
Diana, what's her last name? The pianist. I guess she has COVID.
No, I don't know what else. We'll mention the people of Ukraine. We will mention the people who are protesting in Russia who are picked up by the police, people of Iran who are captured by the police also, and we hope that they will be restored to good health and to freedom soon. And we always say our prayer for our precious planet Earth, which is suffering all types of degradations and assaults, and hope that we might cure our ways so that Earth too will experience a refuah shlema, complete restoration to good health. We have the Misha Berach.
And if you yourself are ill and want to stand for the Misha Berach for us to sing this to you, you may. Misha Berach avotidu b'chor haracha le'ivotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach imotidu b'chor haracha bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. May you be blessed with healing.
Now we're going to go back to a practice that we used to do at L'Dor Va-Dor a while back. We're going to reinstate it. We're going to ask people if they have any good news they would like to share with the congregation. Anybody want to share some good news that they've been experiencing in recent days?
We sold our home and bought a new one.
Very good. Congratulations. Sold their house and bought a new one. And you did it without an attorney, right?
Did it without an attorney.
That's really good news. That's pretty good. All right. Anybody else have any good news they would like to share? All right. Anybody have any bad news they want to share? Anybody? Okay. We'll continue on then with the pièce de résistance. This is the reading of the Torah. We have a very important Torah reading tonight. It's the same reading that we have on Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day of the year. This is a very significant passage. I will be reading it on Yom Kippur, so I am not going to read much of the passage again. I'm going to just give you a little highlight, a little taste, a little preview of what's to come, just to whet your appetite so you can come and hear the passage read in its entirety. It is called Nitzavim. Before we have the reading of the Torah, we have a few preliminaries that we always engage in. One is we have responsive reading up on the screen. This is our Torah. Its words are the same ones that our parents and our grandparents read.
In all times and all places, its words never change.
May our children and grandchildren, their grandchildren and great-grandchildren read his words as well, with ever-increasing understanding, awareness, and love as our people evolve and our knowledge expands. The Eitz Chaim.
Eitz Chaim hi lemachazim ba v'tomechecha meusar deracha tachenoam v'chol torecha shalom. Hashirenu Adonai Elecha v'natzuva Kadesh Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
If you'll notice, in the reading we had before, which is our original reading before the Torah, we don't consider the Torah sacred at L'Dor Va-Dor because it was written by a divine, infallible being. We believe the Torah was written by human beings taking their first baby steps towards morality. Much of it they got wrong, and some of it they made some brilliant insights. It's a tree of life because, like any tree, it grows, it develops, and it spreads branches. And as long as we keep reinterpreting it according to science and reason and developing morality, we're going to be in good shape. If we consider these teachings to be the last word, the final word, God's word, inerrant, with all the genocide and misogyny and misunderstanding of science, and if we consider that to be infallible, we will never grow. What makes us human, what makes us capable of achieving greatness, what we strive for on the high holidays, is not to repeat the mistakes of the past, but to learn from them. Our goal as we read the Torah, and our goal on the high holidays on this Shabbat, is to connect with the past, to better understand the present, so that we can help shape the future. So let's connect with the past this evening with this passage. Atem Nitzavim. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vahed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulachem Lifnei Adonai Elohechem. You are standing here today before the Lord your God. Rashechem Shivtechem V'Zeknechem V'Shotrechem Kol Ish Yisrael. Your rulers, your chieftains, your elders, your officials, every single person in the community of Israel. Tapachem Neshechem V'Gilcha Asher B'Kilav Mechanecha. Women, children, the stranger, the immigrant who resides within your gates. From the one who chops your wood to the one who draws your water. In order to enter into a covenant with God and a sacred oath, which God is establishing with you today. In order that he shall elevate you to the status of his people, and you shall look upon him as your God. Just as he swore to your ancestors. But I am not establishing this covenant with you alone, the sacred oath. Ki et asher yeshno po imano omed hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher einenu po imano hayom. I'm establishing this covenant with you and with all future generations, and with people of every faith and every background and every tradition, those who believe in supernatural beings and those who don't. Male and female, everyone is invited to seek the divine creative power within them and to share it with others. The blessing after the Torah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu turat emet v'chai olam nata bitochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Well, there's a story about this man who never had a bad word to say about anyone. His friend came up to him and said, you know what? You say good things about everyone. I bet if you were asked to describe the devil, you'd have something good to say. He said, well, at least he's industrious. Yes, even the devil, you could find something good to say about the devil. But sometimes it is important for us to form judgments. Some people think it's the highest pinnacle to be non-judgmental. They think that if everybody was non-judgmental, the world would be a better place. Really? What if we made no judgment as far as what should children eat in the morning? Should they eat oatmeal with banana or candy? What would happen if we didn't judge? What should they drink? Should they drink juice, a glass of milk, or soda? What would happen? What would happen if we're trying to teach someone to play tennis and their form was horrible? They were hitting the ball wrong and we didn't judge. Say, keep at it. Or we had a coach that was able to show them the proper form. Where will the results be better? What if we had a team of basketball players and everyone wanted to do their own thing? And we didn't judge and say, you might want to try playing as a team. What would happen if we failed to judge between right and wrong? Between robbing and not robbing? Between helping and not helping? between being considerate of others and being selfish. What would happen if we failed to judge? The results, my friends, would be disastrous. What if we didn't judge ourselves? What if we were so wrapped up in ourselves that we were incapable of forming judgments about ourselves? We rationalized everything, and everything was justified, and we figured whatever we're doing, it must be good, and we never contemplated a better way. We never stopped to reflect and consider. We never judged ourselves. What would happen? Well, we've seen what would happen. Just turn on the news and see what these politicians are doing, and you'll see. I'm optimistic today on this Rosh Hashanah as we enter 5783, because I believe that the world is finally starting to see that we need to form judgments. We have a governor who decides to suspend a state attorney because he follows his conscience, because he says, I'm not going to enforce a bad law. I'm not going to invoke draconian laws against women, which could end up in the death of women, and refusing to recognize the right of people to decide according to their own conscience and their religion. And this person was summarily dismissed. Our governor now is facing the music. A court of law might have something to say and might form judgments about that. In Iran, a woman is arrested for showing some of her hair in public, and the world community watches as these horrors go on, where women live in servitude, in slavery, shackled by ideologies that are thousands of years old, that are barbaric, where they can be stoned to death for engaging in basic freedom and bodily autonomy. And she's arrested and then is killed. And we see a society finally waking up and finally forming a judgment and protesting and saying, this is not right. The question is, what will we do in the United States? Will we say, rah, rah, go get them? Or will we join? Well, we have organizations like the National Organization for Women and Planned Parenthood, Americans United for Separate. Well, we have organizations and individuals coming out, and our government supporting a woman's right to have dignity. By the way, the only place they have such dignity in the Middle East is in Israel. That's the only place where you can be a woman and lead a life of freedom. It's the only place where you can criticize the government and live to talk about it. It's the only place where Jews, Muslims, Christians, and Baha'i all have their holy places, and they're all considered sacred and all respected. And then you have a person in the Democratic Party like Tlaib, who says that Israel is an apartheid state and condemns Israel. She's someone who supposedly believes in civil rights and castigates and criticizes and condemns the one place in the Middle East where there's human rights, and supports people, a nation, the Palestinian people that elected a terrorist group to represent them. A terrorist group who has in its charter the goal of killing all the Jewish people and destroying the state of Israel. And for years she gets away saying all this harsh nonsense about Israel. And finally, some of the Democratic Party stood up and said, that's wrong. We support the free and democratic state of Israel. You have a place like Russia, which is committing atrocities, grotesque, grisly, gruesome torture against the free people of Ukraine for wanting to stand up and be independent, who have invaded this country. And you have the rest of the world watching. Fortunately, there's been a response, not enough of one. We still buy their oil. We still patronize them while they're committing genocide. We still support them economically. If you allow a monster to continue to grow and you don't form judgments against him, you will create a bigger monster, and you will create a threat to the world itself. If you don't believe me, the proof is in the Putin. And we've seen that in Russia. And now today, in Russia, the people are standing up and saying, we're not going to send all of our men out to be slaughtered. And they're protesting. I hope that the United States will form a judgment and say, we side with freedom. Finally, my friends, when we have a former president who leads insurrections, who brags about not paying any taxes to support our military and our police and our government because he's smart, who commits crime after crime, and finally, he's starting to meet his day of judgment in court, indicating that the United States, nobody is above the law. Let us celebrate the fact that in our country, there is judgment eventually for everyone. Judgment is essential, and it's very easy to judge other people. If you notice, I judged both parties. We must get over our partisan politics where we only criticize the other party and not ours. That also is lethal. When we only criticize the other and allow things in our country, our people, our religion, our party to go unnoticed. If we follow a man who says, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and I would still get the support of my people, that, my friends, is dangerous. And so we're living in a country now where we judge. But let me tell you, my friends, the most exciting, the most awesome, the most wondrous form of judgment that we have, that we get to exercise every Rosh Hashanah, that is the ability to judge ourselves. That is the ability to say, I don't have to be the same person tomorrow that I am today. My father, who taught me anything worthwhile that I know, Rabbi Sam Silver, said, the greatest miracle is that we don't have to be the person today that we were yesterday. If we use our full potential, we ask to be in the book of life. We don't believe anymore that there's somebody up there who's writing down in a book whether we make it or not. So what does that mean to us, modern Jews, rational Jews, cosmic Jews? What could that possibly mean? The book of life. The book of life is already in us. We're not in the book of life. It's in us. That book is called DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. It's letters. It's letters that form words and that form us. And the DNA in us is virtually identical to the DNA in all other people. It means that we're all one. The DNA in us is 98.5% the same as a chimpanzee. We are interconnected with all living things and with all species. The DNA in us is the same letters that you'll find in any animal species and the plants as well. DNA. In the rest of the animal world, it stands for something. It stands for do not alter. It's a script. They can't get out of it. They're bound by instinct. But for us, with a rational mind, it stands for destiny, not assumed. Next year, we don't have to be the way we are this year. Next year, we don't have to have the same bad habits, the same inclinations. Next year, we can transcend and rise above, but only if we're willing to form judgments. I hope on this judgment day, we take a stand with the people of Russia and Iran and the freedom of America, stand with women. And I hope also we will have the courage to form judgments about ourselves. And once we do that, to regret what we've done, to show remorse, and then to return to the purity of our souls that we were born with and recapture it once again. Shabbat Shalom. And now we continue with yesterday of yore. After I get a little sip of water. Oh, I do want to thank Madison Fredrickson, our videographer and our technician, for being here. She happens to be the granddaughter of our Cantor. We are practicing L'Dor Va-Dor generation, right here. 3 generations represented right here.
was young, I davened in the synagogue, waiting for my favorite song. When they'd sing, I'd sing along. It made me clap. There was such happy time, and not so long ago, I discovered they're not gone. Yes, they're back again, and so I say amen. And they help me to go on with every Shabbat, every Shalom. We pray for a brighter new day. Every song that we sing, every Hebrew blessing, we pray for a brighter new day. And we get to the part when we sing from the heart, where it really makes me smile, just like before. Our souls are pure once more. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Though I know there ain't no bearded man above who controls our lives on earth, a divine creative force led to our birth. And at last I comprehend those Hebrew prayers. Though I don't know every word, each one does express our joy and thankfulness with a faith that has matured. Every Rosh Hashanah to Hoshana Rabbah we pray and sing the Kol Nidre. All the people give praise on the high holidays for life and seek an end to all strife. When he gets to the part where he sings from the heart, and he sings the Kol Nidre with solemn vows, we Jews atone and pray. Shabbat Shalom. Anybody know where that comes from? What's the original song?
Today was more.
Very good. By the Carpenters. Yes, thank you. We're now going to continue with I think the Carpenters would be shuddering to see what happened to their beautiful song, how it became Judaized and Hebraized. But we like to have fun around here.
She was very spiritual. I think she would have loved it.
Maybe. You could be right. All right, so we're going to now continue with the singing of Aleinu. If you'd like, feel free to stand at this part of the service.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol lateh gedula yotzeh bereshit shelo asanu goye haratzot velo samanu k'mish b'chol hadama shelo sam kilkenu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam ve'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Please be seated. We're going to be concluding this service shortly. Before we do, as is our custom, we always read the Kaddish. Before we recite the Kaddish, we mention the names of those who have been recently taken from us. Cynthia Bieberman, Roger Cohen, Queen Elizabeth II, Sylvia Fisher, Mark Juraj, Lawrence Greenberg, Judy Panoff, Bradley Lance Gray, Jennifer Legakis, Samuel Elliott Meckley, Linda Pruskin, Norma S. Williamson, Sharon Willis. We also remember the names of those, the anniversary of whose departure occurs these days: Shirley Binder, Frida Brusso, Jack Falick, Betty Friedman, Linda Gitterman Brenner, Carmen Gomez, George Green, Jean Kahn, David Kaminsky, Isidore Porlitz, Ruth Poritz, Sylvia Reznikoff, William Schwartz, Evie Sheriff, Seymour Siegel, Sally Silva, Lee Silver, Louis Skolnick, Dorothy Stillerman, William Begoya, George Vogel, and Douglas Wolfe. Anybody have other names that they would like to? Thank you. Anybody else? Let me just share with you that today something very unusual occurred. I was celebrating the life of Samuel Elliott Meckley, better known as Sammy. And of course, of celebrating his life, we shared that he was very joyous, very loving, brought a smile to people's faces, and to remember him, we would do well to try to brighten up the room. Well, at that occasion, the cemetery was run by the very, very Orthodox, and they use rituals that are very Orthodox. Normally, someone like me would not be anywhere near the Orthodox facility, and they wouldn't be near me. But on this day, his memory brought us all together. And I hope, and in his memory and the memory of all of our loved ones, all of these names that we read who believed in Kalal Yisrael, in the Jewish people standing together, that we will all recognize that we're all one. When we suffer a loss, we must all as a group bring consolation. When we meet a challenge, we must stand together. L'Dor Va-Dor is challenging the anti-abortion law. We're pretty much going it alone. Organized Jewish community has decided to stay away. And so have many organizations and other synagogues. When the Romans were attacking Jerusalem and circled the city, ready to destroy the city and unleash the worst carnage our people had ever seen up until that time, and begin a 2,000-year exile. Before that happened, were the Jews gathering their forces together, uniting to defend the holy city? No. They were fighting and killing each other, arguing over who's the real Messiah, arguing over which group is the real Jews, arguing over which branch of Judaism was correct. So the Romans just came in and wiped them out. My friends, if we want to accomplish anything, we better stand as one, shoulder to shoulder, like the soldiers of Israel, who stand together as one. And don't ask what political party they are, what branch of Judaism they belong to, or where they were born. Let us, in his memory, and the memory of all those that we cherish today, stand as one, Kalal Yisrael, and let that be our rallying cry this year, this new year. For if we seek to be a people who will unite the people of the world as one, let us start with our own. Then maybe we can figure out how to bring everybody else together. Ron, you want to add a postscript or an observation? Go right ahead.
I do. For those who don't know, our rabbi standing in front of us is the person who is responsible for bringing the governor of Florida to task and has filed a lawsuit, which we hope is going to get hearing for in the very good future, and hopefully we'll have some positive action against a person who's so wrong in doing so. I
Well,
think we're all very grateful to be blessed having a rabbi and an attorney, the person who leads us tonight and leads us all.
I wanted
you.
to repeat what they said for the people that are on Zoom. Ron got up and said that he was very grateful to the rabbi, who's the person that has filed this lawsuit against the governor related to this abortion issue, and that we are very, very lucky to have Rabbi, not only a rabbi, but an attorney who is willing to take to task a very important issue. And we are very grateful for you, Rabbi.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I'm very grateful to have a congregation that'll put up with me and who will allow the rabbi to be a rabbi rouser, and who also decided to take a stand and file the lawsuit despite the obstacles. I'm also very lucky to have a Cantor who helps me to put some of the songs that I write to music, and a granddaughter who also helps make these songs that I write about abortion and other issues come to fruition. So thank you very much.
And if
for
you
your
want to
kind
go
words.
on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Carol Garrett, you can find some of the songs that we've been putting to video, and you can see them there that Madison has created.
Absolutely. And now we're going to continue reading the Kaddish. If you like, you can read along with us. And if you'd like, you may stand. Yiskadal v'yiskadash Shemir Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yomad yivrach ruseh v'yamlich ma'chuseh. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeducho beis Yisrael. V'agalav izman kariv imru amen. Yehi Shemir Rabbah mivorach le'olam umei omaya. Yisborach v'yistabach v'yispoar v'yischomam v'yisnaseh. V'yisadar v'yisaleh v'yisalal Shemir kedusha b'rechu. Le'elam enko b'rchasa v'shirasa. Tush b'chasa v'nechamasa. Da'am yachon b'yomah v'imru amen. Yehi Shlam Rabbah min shmaya v'chayim. Aleinu v'yokol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imru maf. U'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yokol Yisrael v'imru amen. May their memory be a blessing through us. May we be inspired by their memory to do acts of kindness and acts of joy. Please be seated. We now have a song that's a takeoff on the original. The original is Ya'aseh Shalom. May he make peace, and it's asking God up in heaven to make peace for us. Well, we've been asking that for 3,000 years, and so far it hasn't happened. So maybe we should try plan B. Let us look to the godliness within us, the source of peace within us. Let us seek to be that source of peace. So instead of Ya'aseh Shalom, may he make peace, we change it to Na'aseh Shalom, let us bring peace to the world. Na'aseh Shalom.
Na'aseh shalom b'mamah, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Na'aseh shalom.
Na'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Na'aseh Shalom, Na'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Na'aseh Shalom, Na'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Na'aseh Shalom, Na'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Na'aseh Shalom, Na'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. And now we have the one who's responsible technologically for putting all this together, Sharon Leibovitz. She is going to share with us some of her comments and observations from cyberspace as we resume this service on Zoom.
Thank you, Rabbi Barry, for this beautiful service and your beautiful inspirational message. Thank you, Cantor Carol, for your beautiful, inspiring music. We have our High Holy Days coming up this Sunday evening. We wish Lashana Tova to one and all. May we have a year filled with good health, peace, and happiness, and shalom throughout the world. On October 9th, we have our ladies' luncheon at Cucina Moderna Italian restaurant on Lyons and Boynton Beach Boulevard. Please RSVP by next Friday, September 30th, so we can have a beautiful luncheon together with ladies. And we have a very special Simchas Torah in the park on October 16th at 3 p.m. at the West Boynton Park off of Jog Road near Park Vista High School. A lovely outdoor event, and we're going to be serving pizza, but everybody has to let us know they'll be there so we have enough nosh for everybody. Next Friday, we'll be here for the Sabbath of Return, Shabbat Shuvah with Rabbi Barry and Cantor Carol, September 30th at 7 p.m. in person and virtually at the Carlisle. So we hope to see you then and be together again. And on October 30th at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, it's a Sunday afternoon, another song fest with the music of Carole King and Paul Simon, performed by Andrew Sussman and Cantor Carol Garrett. And we've had a couple others, and they are a wonderful afternoon, a sing-along, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful time. So I tell you to mark your calendars for that. Please check out our Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor website, ledorvador.org, our YouTube channel for videos, our Facebook page for inspirational messages that Cantor Carol puts up, and all of our activities. And please share us with a friend, family, and neighbor, and make L'Dor Va-Dor your home for not just Shabbat, but for the high holidays. Shabbat Shalom and Lashana Tova 5783 may be filled with shalom. Thank you, Rabbi Barry and Cantor Carol.
Thank you, Sharon, and keep healing with your broken foot.
Yes, thank you so much. I just want to share with you the high holidays. If you're a member of L'Dor Va-Dor congregation, you get to come to our services complimentary. You do not have to pay a price. It's no pay to pray if you belong to L'Dor Va-Dor. If you live at the Carlisle, you don't have to pay to enter our doors. It's complimentary. If you're an inhabitant of Palm Beach County, you don't have to pay to enter the services at Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor. It's complimentary. If you belong to the species Homo sapiens, you do not have to pay to enter. If you are a canine,
She's sleeping.
that's what everybody does when I start speaking. Last week, someone said, "I love your sermon. I woke up from it refreshed." If you're a canine, if you're a feline, if you belong to the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom, you don't have to pay to come and pray at Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor. If you have a functioning, rational mind and you don't want your intelligence insulted with nonsense, you are welcome to join us at Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor. Now, I do have to say, on behalf of my board, once you get there, if on the way out you want to leave a donation, I won't object.
And
I won't challenge you. If you're motivated by the services and you say, you know what, I want to join this place, they're really doing something. We won't have any problem with that. Even if you say, I've never been here before, but I like it so much, I want to join the board and help lead this congregation into the future. Or I want to lead the sisterhood, or I want to plan an activity, or I got a suggestion for the rabbi. Maybe his final announcement shouldn't be so long. We are willing to listen. You're all welcome to join us. We got some really incredible, innovative music. We have some great surprises for you that you're really going to like. We have the interfaith dialogue on Yom Kippur. And now, for the final benediction, I have something that I bring with me whenever I do a protest for the environment or for women's rights. It's one of my favorite signs of all. And I'm going to ask for the benediction that we all say the benediction together. If you know any French, and I know Ron does, you will see the top line says, Ensemble unis, nous sommes bénis. Anybody know what an ensemble is?
Group.
Together, unis, like les États-Unis. Together, united, we are bénis, we are blessed. Ensemble unis, nous sommes bénis. Can you say that? Ensemble unis, nous sommes bénis. In Spanish or in English, together united, we'll never be divided. In Spanish, juntos unidos, together united, jamás vencidos, never vanquished. And in Hebrew, kulanu yachad, en lanu pachad. If we are together, we are not afraid. We're not afraid to take a stand. We're not afraid of anybody if we're together. So just join with me once if you would. And Madison, maybe you can face the camera towards the jury. Jewry, and our non-Jewish allies. Are you allowed to do that, or am I getting you into trouble? Is that not possible?
She can do it. Yep.
Okay, here we go, folks. The first line, Ensemble unis, nous sommes bénis. Say with me. Ensemble unis, nous sommes bénis. The second one, I think you can read. Together, united, will never be divided. The third one is juntos unidos, jamás vencidos. Juntos unidos, jamás vencidos. And in Hebrew, my favorite one, kulanu yachad en lanu pachad. Kulanu yachad en lanu pachad. Thank you. May you be blessed. And now we're going to have the motzi, the blessing over the bread. Thanks for joining me.
Join us after. There's cookies and challah and wine and coffee and water. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Now we're going to end with Sena. Oh, by the way, we're going to show the movie Hallelujah is showing, all about Leonard Cohen and the song. And Carol and I are going to end up after the movie singing a rendition of Hallelujah, talking about the creation of the planet from a spiritual point of view. You're welcome to that too. Go on to L'Dor Va-Dor.org so you can find out when and where. If you're not on that website, I feel so bad for you, because then you don't know all the great things that are happening in this community. L'Dor Va-Dor.org. We're now going to continue with Sena Tsena.
Sena tsena 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 habanadurena yakalim b'moshava. Sena tsena 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 habanadurena chayalim b'moshava. Hanat tsena habanadurena chayalim b'moshava. Sena tsena habanadurena Tsena, 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 hapana urena lekalim b'moshava. Tsena, 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 hapana urena chayalim b'moshava.
Thanks, everybody.